And we are live. What's good, shots to Mandel Saint? Welcome. I really want to know podcast, man. We up in the piece. Y'all know what it is, man. We're here. We're gonna have a really good conversation. I'm so excited. Um, we got Sister J.Washington in the building, man. It's gonna be fun. She's standing by ready to go. Uh, if you guys saw the earlier show, we were talking about the latest on the Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate situation. Just read a few articles, man. It's pretty cool. You guys should check that out because normally, I don't go on that early, but I did today because I wanted to make up for the show I didn't do earlier in the week. And I appreciate you guys coming out here. This is going to be a very informative show. I am really looking forward to it. We're going to talk some science. We're going to talk some hardcore business type stuff, like what goes on in that world. And then we're going to talk a little bit about dating and what's going on in that world. So I'm looking forward to it. Yo, let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed. Y'all know Sister Shushu's on the other side of the planet, man, living big right now, man. She's over there. That's the last post I saw from her. I think she was in Paris. Yo, sister's out there doing it. And if you guys are wondering who is Shushu, Shushu's who put together the intro and the outro along with footage that we got from my brother out in Texas, man. Griot's Vision. So it is what it is. We got Love Belk in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you. Welcome. I don't recognize you, man. So I'm glad to see you. Probably one of the brothers to be in Overwatch. You're checking us out. Sister Lavoie is in the building, always checking on me. I'm doing good, love. Thank you very much. I am, I might miss a little bit of sleep, but remember, I'm a paratrooper. I don't need much sleep. I slip into that tactical mode and I can do what I got to do. We got Sister Miss AKA Lady in the building. What's good, sis? What's good? Like I was looking forward to this, guys. Hey, y'all, and she is here. We're gonna make it happen. What's the traveling teacher crush? What's good? Ready to hear something good? I'm glad you were here. Thank you, sis. Thank you so much for coming through. We're about to make it happen. So yeah, let's get into it. We're gonna talk about the spectrum. We're gonna talk about autism. We're gonna hear it firsthand from a behavioral therapist. And here she is, Sister J.Washington in the building. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. You know what I mean? I'm doing okay for an old person. What they say, fair to middling. I guess I'm doing fair to middling. You know what I mean? Getting up there in my age. And people look at me like, you ain't all that old. I'm like, I am. I got more than half a century on me. And yeah, like if I was a car, I probably have about 300,000 miles because I done did so much. So you know what it is. So I want to give you an opportunity to tell everyone who you are, what you're about, and then then I'll just start bombarding you with questions.
Okay. Well, my name is Jaquandalyn Washington. I primarily go by JQ, and I'm a behavior therapist here in Central Florida. I work at two clinics, one in Brandon and one in Tampa. It's under the same company. And I've been working with those with special needs, disabilities, behavior disabilities, since I was probably about 12 years old, to be honest. I started very, very young. I was in the education field for 6 years with severe behaviors out in Macon, Georgia. And I started in Valdosta, Georgia, where I went to school. And then I transitioned to be a coordinator for adults with disabilities. And now I am a behavior therapist or a behavior technician.
Girl, that's what's up. I give your props right there. Hey, I'm not mad at you, girl. I'm not mad at all. We got Sister Belk, Sister Alex in the building. I see you, sis. That's your people right there.
Hey, Alex. Yes, and traveling teacher too.
Them your people's right there. Yeah, I always got these Southern Bells up in here. I tell you what, I am happy. I'm so happy.
Yes, Georgia.
Y'all up in it. And listen, I remember when I was a young teen going down to Atlanta. Man, oh man, I was back in the 80s. It wasn't nothing like Southern Bells back then, bro. We can talk about that a little bit later. That's gonna be the second half of this show. We'll get into that. I was in, man. People like you be hating on sisters. Like, no, I don't. I love sisters. I remember sisters back from the beginning, like especially down in Georgia. Because guess what? They ask you what you want. You want something? They bring you a sandwich now. You know what I mean? How you doing? How your mama doing?
We
They get it.
did.
They get it in. Y'all know what time it is. So yes, Miss AKA ladies in the building. Yes, got them Southern Bells up in here. So when people talk about what you do, like talk about your world, right? You hear the term on the spectrum. Can you explain to me what that means?
They say on the spectrum because, yes, there's a definition, but there really isn't a definition. Like they don't know the cause of autism. They just know that it's a neurological developmental disability. And that can look like so many things depending on the person. What one person may do, the other person may not do. One may do self-interest behaviors, another one may be very rigid. And then a lot of people conflict having anxiety or ADHD as part of autism, and a lot of people are also misdiagnosed as well.
I was going to ask you about that because so many people, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, they want to be diagnosed with something. They have to have. Am I wrong in thinking
It's a
that?
it's it it's a trend that I don't like. People want to diagnose themselves with things. I don't know, trendy or what. Oh, I have OCD. I have PSC. I have anxiety. Like, and that's not cute to me. It just isn't.
People come to me like, I got PTSD. Like, oh, you served in the military? Like, nah, I never was in the military, nothing like that. I never was in no problem. I just got PTSD. Like, okay, well, run along there, young man. I mean, they got to have something, right? I think a lot of that has to do with people refusing to take accountability for where they are in life. Maybe they wanted more, or maybe they think they deserve more and they didn't get it. And it's not because I'm less than, it's because I have fill in the blank. You think I'm off on that
Exactly.
assessment, or?
No, not at all. I think that, like you said, people have to take accountability. And I've always been the type, because I have a brother with special needs too. So I look at things differently. Even when I talk to people, I'm always analyzing them. And people always compliment me on my patience. So I'm always like, why did you react that way? Why did you respond this way? Usually, when people respond to you at that moment, it may not be because of how they're feeling at that moment. It could be some other type of trauma, or they were triggered by something and they don't even know what they were triggered by.
Hmm.
So,
Huh.
um,
Okay.
she asked what ages I primarily work with ages 3 to 12. I have worked from 2 all the way up to 74.
Wow. So you've run the complete spectrum. We got I am the single one sister on a spot is in the building. What's good, sis? And you know what? I forgot to show Lady Lavore her love when I saw her right away because my mind was racing. But there you go, baby. I didn't show you your love. Thank you so much for being here, sis. You know what I mean? I gotta, we got these sound effects. We gotta use them now. We can't be playing around. So so how long exactly have you been in the business? And I'm not talking about just like with, your schooling and your, like your current thing, but like when you were young, like when did you decide I was going to get into it and how long have you been delving in this field?
um, Someone recently asked me last Sunday, and they was like, "What is your passion?" And I'm like, "Well, my calling," because I truly believe this is my calling. This is not what I originally went to college for. I've always wanted to be a dentist since the age of 3. But I did go to school for special education. My brother, that's 3 years younger than me, he has learning disabilities. So growing up, I knew that, you know, he learned differently. So I learned sign language at a young age because of him. I would get embarrassed in elementary because he would run around the table and I just didn't understand. And they'd be like, hey, put your brother around the table. Um, there was a camp back home because I'm from Hinesville. So in Fort Stewart, they would have a camp that I would volunteer for with those with special needs. And I was about 10, 12. I don't know, and I've just always connected. Like I'm very well with pairing, and we can talk about what pairing means, but I'm very well just with pairing with people. and I've always enjoyed it. When I was a teenager, I wrote down different things that I wanted to do with my life, and working with special needs was one. I didn't think it would be a career, but that's what it came out to be.
So like that's where you are, girl. I mean, I ain't mad. And you looking good too. You said since you were a teenager. I'm like,
I
you
think,
look like you still a teenager right now, girl. Hey y'all.
Holla, 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 holla,
listen,
holla.
almost
Hey,
at
what?
40.
Almost at 40. Really? Man, black do not crack, y'all.
Yeah,
Hey, shout out to black folks, man. That's a Don DeMarco right there if I
right.
ever heard one. Man, all right, cool. I don't feel so bad, girl. Like, I'm like I said, I'm on the other side of 50, but I'm like, all right, well, we all right. We good. We good. And I'm just having fun, y'all. I like to keep it light. Y'all know I'm a comedian. Just so you know, I'm a retired air traffic controller. And this is what I'm doing with some of my time now. Like we got into YouTube. I know some guys who are really big in the YouTube space and kind of encouraged me to do it. Actually, if I'm being honest, they told me not to do it. They were like, if you do it, don't do what we do. Like stay out of our world. But I like that world. So I'm over here and I do a variant of what they do. We're going to get into that in the second half of this interview. So
Brittany.
that's your people right there.
Yes.
That's what's up. And sister, I am the single one. She's like, great topic and awesome guest. Shout out to the mods in the chat. Shout out to you, sis. And so what are the most challenging parts of your work?
Um, for me, I don't think it's really challenging when it comes to working with the client. Um, God has gifted me with patience. When I say patience, patience. I have been punched, I've been spat on. Um, I had a 13-year-old girl jump on me. Um, I even had one student hang himself in the bathroom and I had to climb up and get him down. So the most challenging things for me would be the people you work with, the people you work with, the parents. Um, and I'm so big on advocating for our Black people because they will diagnose us in a heartbeat. They will put us on medication in a heartbeat. And the parents will not get out and research. All they do is just go along with what the doctors say. And I have seen so many Black boys being diagnosed when they don't need to be. It's just they're more so gifted, which is also special needs, but they're more so being gifted. And the teacher needs to teach them the way that they learn and give them, the right materials and the work to where they can actually advance instead of just holding them back. So I've had students in my class where they just had behaviors. And I was kind of like that growing up. I would finish my work very fast and then do my classmates' work because I wanted to talk. So, the most challenging thing would be the people that you work with and sometimes the parents, because when your child is labeled, you kind of baby them or coddle them more. So you have those parents, and you also have those really active parents that are like, I'm gonna do whatever it is I need to do to get my child, the services and everything that it is that they need.
Hmm. So man, it's a lot. It's a couple things I wanted to ask you about. Like, first of all, because somebody's gonna be watching this and team replay or someone on YouTube is gonna be watching this and like, two Black people complaining about the world in America being unfair to Blacks. So I want to address that right now as well. It's just what you're talking about is a thing that probably happens in more communities. We're going to talk about our community because that's where we are right now. But I know that America has an issue with diagnosis, especially with young boys, because young boys and young girls learn differently, right? So you got a guy with us, it was hypertension growing up. He won't sit still. So they were pumping, pills in you in the late 70s into the 80s with boys mostly because we wouldn't sit still. Well, we learn differently. It's kind of like what you said. I would finish my work too. I'm sitting around like, what's taking you so long? I help them so we can talk. Exactly what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And because I wanted to move around, they would want to medicate us. But the parents back then were different. We didn't get coddled if someone gave it. They tried to give us a label. It was more like Forrest Gump mama, like, nah, I want him to learn with everybody else. You ain't gonna treat him no different than anybody else. But that has
Yeah.
changed. That has changed. So and that is one of the, I guess you said one of the bad things about what you have to deal with, dealing with the system, dealing with parents who want to coddle their kids as opposed to encourage them to go out and achieve. And I guess the misdiagnosis of medications. But when you said that you were working with a client who went into the restroom and and tried to hang himself. How did you know to react? Like, what can you walk us through that?
Okay, so I was living in Macon, and when you have a classroom with special needs in that particular district, you can only have 10. So you can have a teacher, a teacher's aide, and like a one-on-one if the child, needed a one-on-one if that was in their IEP. Um, this particular student, we had a great bond, like a great relationship, and I had him for about, this was our third year together in the same classroom. He was upset. He comes from very low income. His mom, was on drugs. He would take food from the cafeteria and save it so he can give it to his siblings at home. Um, I believe his mom would even have him like go in the street corner and sell drugs. But this particular day, he was triggered by something, got upset, um, which he does very well as far as because he progressed. Because usually it would be okay, I'm gonna punch somebody in the face, I'm a kick like I'm fighting. But he decided to run off. And at this time, I was in the hallway with another student, and this student just eloped from the classroom. He wasn't even in my class. And I was like, he didn't go back to class. He didn't go back to class. So the other student ran to the bathroom. I ran after him because I wanted to try to calm him down, de escalate the situation, whatever that was. And he ran into the bathroom. I was walking around the school looking for him, and I happened to go in there too. He had taken off his belt and the tiles that are up in the ceiling.
Yes.
He looped it over the metal piece, wrapped around his neck, and like was literally like hanging. And I had to climb on the urinal in the boys' bathroom, and there was like in between the urinals, it was these bricks, so I could climb up there and just hold him up. So luckily, the boy that didn't look from the bathroom, that didn't listen to me when I said go back to class, he was in there too, and I sent him to go get help.
Wow.
And we got him down. I went back to class. After talking to him going to the principal's office. Um, a few minutes later, the principal called me in the office, and they was like, "You need to go home." And I was like, "I'm okay." And they was like, "No, you're very calm. You're patient. You need to go home." I was like, "No, I'm fine. Trust me." And it was like, "It hasn't hit you yet." Sure enough, when I got in the car, like I just bawled, like tears everywhere. So,
Yes, Sister JQ. I mean, that's some superhero stuff right there. That's what we call airborne in the army. Like when you go up, you talk about going above and beyond. And I was gonna ask you, I'm like, did they give you some downtime? Because you gotta go decompress from something like that. It's not as if you're trained to deal with life and death at that level. Did they cover that in any of your training leading up to that point?
we are trained to do restraints. And that's about it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's about it.
Man, that is girl. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. That's
Well, thank
wow.
you.
Wow. And yes, it's like I said, that's ain't nothing wrong with breaking down after something like that. I won't because I'm a man. I'm gonna be all right. You know how so we get down, paratrooping. No, I'm just kidding. I've been through some
Mm,
traumatic experiences. Yeah, as an air traffic controller, I've been through the stuff I was trained to do as a soldier, the stuff I did in the streets in my other life, you know what I mean, compared to what I was doing as an air traffic controller was insane. And, you literally have these lives in your hand as an air traffic controller. And sometimes you can't pull them apart in time. Sometimes you can't help the pilot fast enough and things happen. Or there's something you can do. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. Airplanes are machines, and sometimes machines fail. So dealing with that was difficult. That's when I kind of got into talking to therapists. I didn't believe in it before that. I was like, man, whatever. That's for the weak. But no, a good therapist can change the universe. So shout out to you
mm,
being you are more than a good therapist, climbing up on top of stuff, grabbing a human body and holding it. I mean, my goodness, girl. Man, shout out to you. Um, Last
thank
good man in
you.
Jersey's in the building. Oh, yo, you welcome, girl. Please. Last good man in Jersey in the building. What's up to you? Um, Miss AK Ailey was wondering, and she says, I work with kids often and I have noticed a trend in autism diagnosis. Like, is there some kind of funding behind this particular diagnosis? Good question.
Um, not particularly behind the diagnosis, but there definitely is funding. So that's how ABA is funded through different insurances. And depending on what the client's insurance is, depends on the type of um, programs that we can run with them. Some don't allow us to do daily living skills. Now, I will say when I was in the school system, I had a student that did not belong there at all. He was just there for behavior because the teacher didn't want to deal with him. So
Mm.
after his like 90 days or a year that he was there, we were able to send him back. Like he's no longer showing these behaviors. That school that he came from did not want him back. They said
Mm.
no. And then schools also get funding for ever how many, Black people that they have or however many students that they have with special needs. So there's a lot of times they'll go and reevaluate and do the assessment, and they'll say, okay, we need to have some kind of behavior. Like, okay, let's trigger this client so our data can show that these are the behaviors that they're showing so we can get funding. Because once they're not showing behaviors, the funding goes down, the hours go down.
And they go and money runs everything. That's crazy. Brother Smeeble's checking in all the way from Australia. Good to see you, bro. Good day, good day. And he was saying that he's like, I work in the disabilities industry in Australia, and there are so much funds for people with disabilities, and the increase of kids with some form of autism or learning issue is insane. And it kind of ties, I think, to what you're saying, sis. There's money involved. If we can diagnose as many people as possible, we're going to get increased funding. We get increased funding. We can get more help in here, more specialists, more kids, and then diagnose more of them and get more funding. So it sounds like to me it's kind of like a vicious little circle. Wow. Is it kind of like that?
It is, but I like to think of it um, the symptoms or the characteristics that those that are autistic have, they have sensory issues. We have sensory issues. Like we cope with things too, um, but we may not have went to a doctor and got diagnosed for it. Some people have to twirl their hair. For me, I always have to have a blanket on me, like no matter where I am. That's just my sensory thing. Like we all have something different, and you may not even notice it. Like you may shake your leg, you may tap your foot. Like we all have those sensory things. Um,
Yeah, my sensory thing is I run around and scream pip squack every now and then. It's a small thing, just a little.
um, come see me.
Well, what? That's normal, right? I mean, everyone runs around screaming pip squack. I mean, it's a thing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I got bad insurance, girl. I don't know if I can afford you. I don't know. Which brings us to my next question. So what about the education? Like you said you went to school, but it's not initially not what you went to school for. Is it 4-year undergrad? And then is there some post-grad stuff? How does that work?
Well, it all depends what you want to do. If you want to be a teacher, then yes, you would need a bachelor's. Some schools, like private schools, will even take you with an associate. Um, if you want to be a behavior therapist, which is what I am now, all you need is 40 hours of training. Um, Take your test. And that test, you're sitting in a room with you can't bring anything into that room. There's a person behind a plexiglass. There's cameras everywhere, and there's a timer going. And you need to be 18 of age. Have your background check, and then annually, excuse me, annually you are taking your assessment, which is what I just did today. So I took my competency test today.
That's why you
But
look.
that's about
That's
it.
long day, huh? You in there testing, boy. I used to hate test, girl. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's Miller
But
time.
it's just no. When you do it annually, it's just the analyst is there, watching you, run the programs with your client, asking you, term definition, and I'm pretty bad with the terms, but I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you at all. That's what's up. TBE trucking in the building. What's good, bro? Pleasure to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Brother Smeebles, again, in Australia. Like in Australia, we have the NDIS, the National Disability Insurance Scheme. So we have guaranteed funds from the government as long as it's diagnosed and funded. Do we have something similar to that here in America?
I'm not sure. Well, yeah, as long as it's diagnosed, yes, it is funded. Like you
Okay.
do get those funds. Yeah.
Okay. So we got okay. Sounds like we
Mhm.
said something similar. You know, our cousins in Australia. You know, what I mean, doing it. I guess kind of the way we're doing it. Um, you know, Miss AK, hey lady, like I think traditional learning environment doesn't work for every student. So some kids don't react well to being forced into a traditional box. I know I was one of those kids, man. I drove, I don't know, I
Yeah.
drove at least 10 teachers out the business. I ain't gonna lie to you, but we was me and my cousins in the same room, forget about it. Somebody quitting. It wasn't gonna be us. But you know, we weren't on the spectrum. We were just bad. Is that it's a category for us? It's just these bad kids right here, but they just let us go on recess all the time. But we learned. I mean, we learned stuff.
Mm.
um. So okay. So if I can ask you, and I'm not. This question is not for you. I'm just talking about the field. What's the pay like? I mean, is it financially, rewarding? I guess not.
It's just like a teacher. Like you have to have a passion for it. So the turnover rate, I don't know the percentage when it comes to this field. Turnover all the time. We see therapists in and out the door, in and out the door, in and out the door. Whether it's because of the clinic, the clinical director, and it's mainly the pay. Like you're always searching for more pay because realistically, how are you making a living? But
Wow.
yeah, you have to love what you do.
I mean, I hate when I hear those type stories because America. I think that we get it backwards over here. You know, we won't pay teachers, we won't pay people like you who are in these specialized these specialized skills that are needed to move our society forward. We won't pay law enforcement. Like we give people like with hardly any training, a gun and a badge, and just send them out there with no training and then we're surprised when it goes bad. I've said it before. Teaching, especially what you do, and law enforcement, it should be a minimum $100,000 a year starting point, and that any government funds should go in to augment the pay. So if you're getting paid $35,000 by your institution or school, wherever, the government should kick in the rest to take that up to $100,000 minimum. And that way you won't have to work on the off season or work multiple institutions, basically work yourself to death just so you can help the people and do, like you said, your calling. I don't know. We're gonna do something about that. We're gonna just start some sort of political
I
movement.
totally agree
I
because
bet you do.
depending on the depending on the clinic that you work with, a lot of them don't offer insurance. Some you have to pay your own drive time.
Damn.
Um, when a client is sick or they call out, we don't get paid for that. If they're late, we don't get paid for that. Um, so it's like we're on their time, you know?
I mean, yeah. I mean that is crazy. Brother Smeebles, all the way in Australia, he said, "Hey, if you come to Australia, J.Washington, I could give you a job as a disability support worker if you need." Ha ha ha. Yeah, well, that's this.
Okay, let me know what to speak for you.
That's what we trying to do. Let me holler at you. Yeah, I ain't mad at you, Smeebles, trying to get it in. But I mean, I don't know what the cost of living is in Australia. Uh, Brother Smeebles, what's the Australian dollar to the US dollar right now? I think you guys are, I think the dollar is strong against compared to y'all. I think the dollar is stronger than the Australian dollar. I don't know, but I don't think it's cheap over there in Australia, but you know how we are, girl. We can go anywhere and fit right in.
Yeah, because I think the starting pay for a behavior therapist might be $12.
An hour?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Wow.
like 12 to 30. Yeah.
Wow. Uh so Britt, right? I think this is one of your people's right here, 912. She
Yep,
they
912. You gotta say 912.
912. My bad, y'all. Forgive me, because I'm from the 513, so I understand that. They want to know what's your favorite part of the job, and let me see. I don't know what that word is. WHE. Uh, will form bonds. Or will you form bonds with your students, or are able to keep in contact with them after you leave? Um, yeah. So, what is your
Um,
favorite part?
My favorite part, because I don't feel like I'm the traditional. I do bend corners at times. I just enjoy creating that bond and seeing them develop and grow because I can teach, I can run programs all day, but it's just like if you don't have a bond or relationship, they're not going to trust you. So I definitely enjoy that and creating the bonds with their parents. And it's just seeing them develop. I had one student, and that was nonverbal. They said, he's not going to talk. I said, all right, we going to see. And we ended up talking by the time I left Philadelphia, Georgia. So those things are just rewarding. Now, keeping in contact, I do not keep in contact. I just had one from my first class in Macon just requested me on Facebook, and I texted the teacher and was like, uh, but no, I don't keep in contact. I don't mind. A lot of them will probably when I first started like high school now. So if they want to reach out, like I definitely don't mind that at all. I do try to stay within, because we have HIPAA laws and all of that, of course. But yeah, I love my
That's what's up.
kiddos.
As you should. Like you said, it's your calling. I wanted to read this real quick, and then I'm gonna jump to what Schmeebs was saying about pay in Australia versus the US. Um, Miss AKA lady is saying she like, I totally reject the term bad kids. What if the environment doesn't work for that kid? So many of our kids are automatically thrown away as bad. Some kids just need more work than others. I wasn't talking about all kids. I was talking about me and my cousins. And yeah, we were bad. Whatever environment you put us in, we was turning up. It was what it was. So yes, I'm just saying we were bad kids. But I mean, we walked right up to the line. We didn't cross over the line too much. Well, when we did cross the line, we didn't get caught that often. But we was bad. I ain't gonna lie to you. We had fun
No, my
being.
mom, she's the same way. My mom doesn't like the term bad kid. She's a preschool teacher, so she gets
Hmm.
those challenging individuals too. But
But I'm here to tell you, there's bad kids out there. So y'all talking about y'all reject that. No, I'm here to tell you, there's some bad kids. I see them all the time. I be wanting to smack these little bad little kids running around where I stay at. There's some bad kids out there, y'all. I'm just letting you know. Don't be trying to get them all. Looks like the dollar is strong. Like it's $1 Australian equals 66 cents. I didn't know that, bro. Brother Smith was just saying the number of pay above. He's like 41 to 44,000 Australian dollars. Uh, as a 26.99 to 28.96 US. Uh, it sounds like the pay is better over there. Generally speaking, sounds like.
yeah, and the number for the U.S. that's on the low end, but yeah.
That's cool. That's what it is. So, all right. I was just curious about all that before we move on, because y'all know I got stuff I got to do tonight because we can't run the whole 2 hours, and we're just gonna have to bring Sister JQ back. But before we move on, if we can delve into the personal side, like of you,
Okay.
because we talk about that over here. And I definitely want to revisit. Oh, and you were telling me next month is.
Autism awareness, and April 2nd is Autism Awareness Day. Yeah.
All right, cool. See, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. We all learned. I mean, I don't know who else learned it. Mischievous. Let's see. Women are just like y'all. Y'all weren't bad. Y'all were just mischievous, probably. No, we were bad. We had the police looking for us and everything, bro. Like first time, they never caught us though. And the statute of limitations is well done. But we had a we had a task force on us, bro. We was like 14. I could joke about it. Nobody got hurt. All right, we wasn't doing nothing too crazy. Everything was insured. Just want y'all to know. But nah, we were bad. We were bad. Miss AKA was like, how can we be contacted in regards to therapy resources? Or
Well, you wouldn't contact me personally. I offline I will give you my information on what clinic I work at, but you would just contact an ABA clinic once you have that referral, and they'll come out and assess, and that's about it.
and kind of go from there. And Miss AKA lady, I will shoot you her Instagram, so you guys can connect and talk, and that's real cool. Miss AKA lady will be at that show, girl. We're talking about on the 22nd. She's gonna come check it out. So just saying, not to
Okay.
give you pressure, but I do want to pressure you because I want everybody to show we want as much support as we can get. So let's get into the personal side of this. Um, how do you balance your work and personal life. And before we get into it, can we ask you about your situation? Like, are you single, married, looking like
I'm single. Don't nobody
hey,
want me.
what? What? They about to blow up your Instagram, girl. So how do you balance your work and your personal life?
um, I mean, I have a personal life. I feel like I don't do much. Usually when I'm out, it's because traveling teachers in town. Um, Alex is asking me to go somewhere with her, inviting me. I have a lot of family too, so I'm usually with family. If I'm not working, I'm trying to plan because I do have my own business outside of this. Um, that's about it. I mean, I feel like you have to put in time. I've been reading the 12-week year and Atomic Habits. I feel like you just have to put in that time um, to work on business, to work on your hobbies, to have fun, time with God, like all of that. You can manage it. You could make time to scroll on your phone and do everything else.
Facts. Facts. So as a woman, you know what I mean, as a woman who's passionate about what she does and realistic about what she does, you know, from the financial standpoint and all that. Like when you're out meeting people out and about or whatever, do you turn off your training? Like how does that work? Like do you sit there and you see somebody like, oh, this person needs some help, or can you just kind of leave that off and just kind of engage?
I don't turn it off. I don't think I turn it off. Yeah, I don't think I turn it off at all. Now, I'm
Hmm.
not one to dismiss people so easily. I mean, I got a few homegirls on here that can probably tell you that. But yeah, I don't turn it off.
All right, all right. So you just kind of, all right, that's cool. And here's the thing: I wouldn't want to turn it off. I mean, it's you've been doing this for so long. It's who you are, not necessarily how you were trained. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, it's almost impossible to shut that off.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like I have good discernment too. So
That's what's up. So and then so what are your thoughts on the current dating landscape? I mean, every sister and every woman I get to come on here, every age range from every group, I ask the same question. What is it like out there in the current dating landscape?
So I've always been in relationships. Like high school, I dated the same person for like 6 years. Like I always had long-term relationships. So when I moved to Florida, one of my friends was like, "You need to get on a dating app. You can get on a dating app." I'm like, I just was so against it. I tried it. I definitely met a lot of people, a lot of guys. The way they try to get in is through my side business, and I was like, "Oh, I want to purchase or whatever like that." So I'm like, okay, but they're liars. They're not going to say they're all, I'm not going to say that. But most of them are in relationships. They're married, hiding children, or some will say that they're ready and then they'll turn around and say, "No, I'm not ready. This is what I want to do." Maybe they're not ready, or maybe they just don't want to be with you. I don't know. But I just found a lot are in relationships. And I've called many out on it. Like we have social media. Like if you're gonna post your other person or they don't post you, like I don't know,
Huh.
play smart, maybe. But
I mean, there is game. So it sounds to me it's like, okay, you're encountering guys and they're running variants of different of game, basically. They're doing whatever. Um, and I can see how that's a pain. Would you say those guys who are running game, do you think they're successful at whatever it is they're trying to do?
um like in their career successful or
No,
just
and
running game with women.
running game with women in that endeavor.
Some they may be successful with because some women just see, oh, I can get a bag, I can get a meal, I can get a trip or something like that. So yeah, probably so.
Hmm. Let's dig down on that. So the guys, like you said right off the rip, you're like, look, you're just a realist. You're patient. You can sit back and they run their game and like, all right, this dude is full of it. Whatever. You move on. would you say that most women today, and I know it's hard to ask you to answer for all women, but just, just kind of bear with me here. Would you say there are more women who are looking for the bag, looking for the experience, looking for the trip, looking for the meal, versus there are women like you who are like, I'm just looking for a real guy out there, and is that the reason why guys are running their game so well?
I think it depends on your age too, um, because it's so out there on social media. Like, yeah, we out for the summer, we bad, and we doing this, and we can get this and that. And those that may be, a little more seasoned, some are on that. I think a lot aren't. Like, there are people that want to settle down. There are people that don't want to settle down. I don't see anything wrong with that, but just be upfront with it. Like, let people know your intentions.
I always tell that to guys. Like I tell dudes all the time, like it's important for a man to understand games. It's important for men to run men to run their game, whatever that may be. But I tell them don't lie. Like if you're gonna go out there, and there's guys out there who lie. That's the main thing. They go out there and lie, and it's effective for them. But I tell dudes like, look, like I said, I'm in my 50s. I never lied. This is what I'm doing. I will let women know up front. This is how it goes. If we have that conversation, like, so what are we? Or if she says I can only be with you tonight if you promise that I'm the only woman. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. I guess you're going home then because I'm not gonna lie. But unfortunately, most men don't. Your sister's out there laughing like she was like, LOL. The liars. You're out here laughing my ass off. The way you said that was real talk though, girl. Real talk. I ain't mad at you. Um, so they say me and this is like mainstream media and even YouTube stuff that we are currently in a loneliness epidemic, right? And they're also saying that most men are overlooked by the vast majority of women. There's stats out there and studies out there to say that the vast majority of women only see the top 20% of men, which the bottom 80% of men just don't even exist to them. Have you ever heard that before? First and secondly, do you think there's any truth in that?
I've heard you say it. And I do think there's truth. There's probably maybe one or two guys that now I can look back and be like, oh, I could probably see like that's husband material. But maybe back then, no, probably because their approach or, the way that they were moving. But as far as the qualities that I would want in a husband, yeah, I think we do overlook. I mean, I don't know how many chances you give somebody. I think there's definitely limits and boundaries to that. But I'm not one to sit. I've given too many chances, and now I'm just like, no. But when I do see flags, I'll give a chance. But I'm not going to continue seeing that same red flag and be like, oh, okay, and just have fool written across my head.
Huh. That's a good point. I mean, I look at the current dating landscape, especially with the young people out there, and I'm just like, it's crazy. Compared to what I went through when I was that age, it's like it's way easier now. And I think you tapped on that earlier in this conversation with the city girl lifestyle and what I mean, looking for whatever it is they may be looking for and being willing to make that exchange. Like I'm willing to be intimate with you, or I'm willing to at least let you believe I'm gonna be intimate with you, so long as I'm getting these things in return, be it a Birkin, be it a trip to Tulum, be it, what I mean, a car. I know guys be buying girls cars. Like, so, but those same women won't give the time of day to a guy who is working at Target or a guy who is managing McDonald's. How important would you say that the financial aspect in today's world is?
Very important. Have you not seen how much a mortgage is?
Indeed, I have. I moved here from LA, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, you have to maintain, whether it's if you want a luxury lifestyle, that's something you and your partner have to discuss. I mean, if you're okay with the bare minimum, that's something you have to discuss. And there's people that are okay with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Hmm. Okay, so should people adjust their expectations moving forward, or should they just hold out for Prince Charming?
I don't think you should adjust your expectations. Um, but the way, if you're expecting something, I think you should also look at yourself. Like if you
Hmm.
want a communicator, do you communicate well? And if not, then you need to sit down and ask, well, how can I communicate better? And what is it that you need from me?
Hmm. Okay.
So maybe like adapting, but I don't think you should adjust your expectations. Now, if you're saying, um, this man crosses off everything that I want, but he's not making this financially, but he is, maybe has that plan or whatever. Let's see how long this plan is, what he's doing to get there. How can I help you get there? And if that's something that you want to do, that's a decision that you need to make.
Hmm. I think you keeping it 100. I've had this conversation, and I continue to have this conversation with as many women as I possibly can, and I'm getting people to come on to the show so we can have this discussion. Um, I tell dudes, especially these days, I'm like, hey man, work on yourself, be the best version of yourself, get your mind right, get your body right, get your money right, figure out what you're looking for in a woman, and once you do these things, once you accomplish these objectives, women will begin to see you. Like you can't be in the bottom 80 and hope to get yourself a woman. And a lot of people like, well, I don't want a dime. I ain't trying to get like a 7 or 8 or a 9. I'm like, bro, all women want the best, man. So if you want to be seen, you're gonna have to, separate yourself from the crowd. Um, would you agree with that advice that I be parsing out, or am I missing something there?
Yes and no. I mean, what I may see in a man or like as far as, his personal appearance, my homegirls probably like, oh, mm-mm, and vice versa. So it's all what you like.
Hmm. Okay, because you striking me as a pretty much down to earth, even keel, you know, person. I don't know. I've known you what 48 minutes, right? Like we've talked, but you seem real even keel. You're thinking about what's going on, like pretty realistic. Um, and I'm just like when I this is a fascinating conversation I'm having right now. I'm really intrigued. Like just kind of picking around in your brain here, but why is it that well, no, I don't want to ask that question. I want to ask this. I want to move it along. Let's talk about marriage. Is marriage still the end goal, you would say, for most people here in America?
I can't speak for most. For me, it is. Um, I will tell you this. I'm the eldest of 11,
11,
and
11, 11 siblings.
yes,
So you get
so
it's 10 and then you.
correct.
Whew.
So when I hear my sisters talk, um, they're more so like, yeah, I want to get married, and someone's like, I'm never getting married, and I think that's all on like our father. Like he's not a bad person at all, but the things that we see, and if he's not married, and he has us, that they're like, that's what they're based it off of, and I don't think that way. But
Huh.
marriage is the end goal for myself.
So you would like to be married. Um,
Hmm.
do you really want to be married and not just have a wedding day? And
I
and,
don't
and,
want a
and
wedding.
oh, you don't want a wedding? No?
No.
So walk me through that. How does that look like? Okay, so Mr. Right
Um,
comes up, y'all kick it. He bends the knee. Does he still need to propose, or can he sit in the chair next to you and ask you?
if he's sitting in the chair next to me, that's still a proposal.
I mean, but most people like I want him to bend the knee and have the ring and all this kind of stuff. So what would it look like?
I think that would be nice if you bent on one knee. Yeah, I would like that. But as far as marriage, I never dreamt of like a wedding. I just never understood like spending all that money when I could put it down on a house, like I can buy a boat or something like that. Um, maybe, and I had this conversation with one of my friends that's online, and she was like, But I think if I change my mind and say I want a wedding, then maybe, let's go elope and be married for a year. Then after a year, have that 1 year celebration. But I don't know. I've just never dreamt of a wedding.
This is the first time I've heard a woman say that in this country. In this country, I've heard women say that in other countries. They don't really care about a wedding day. It was more important that they met the right man. And so, how hard is a marriage? Is it would a marriage be easy? Would that relationship be easy? Would that relationship be hard, or would that relationship fall somewhere in between? In your interpretation of a marriage.
I don't think any marriage is easy. Um, Even throughout the relationships that I did have, like I was putting up a fight, and probably when I should have quit. But that was a relationship. I wasn't married, so I'm doing certain obligations that maybe a wife should have been doing, and that wasn't my role. But I don't think any marriage is easy.
So it would just any relationship then would take hard work. Is what you're saying?
Of course.
That's what's up. Again, I've heard people who was like, they, for whatever reason, they think marriage is going to be like the easiest thing ever. I'm like, are you kidding? That's the beginning of the mountain. You about to climb Everest. The wedding, the marriage, the saying y'all come together, that's base camp. The rest of it is climbing that mountain. One of my things, when I talk about marriage, and especially in America, my thing is that the family law system, the family court system, is so unfair to one party or the other, whoever has the money. Generally speaking, it's the man, but I think that's slowly changing. And there is benefit to divorce. And I tell guys all the time, it just doesn't make sense to get married under the current rules. I think finding the right woman and being together, that's amazing. But actually signing that contract and getting married, if you have something to lose, I think it's a bad idea. What do you think of that?
I understand what you're saying. But I mean, if we're getting married, we're getting married. And for me, I know I want to say like there's no divorce. But if abuse is involved, I'm leaving. If God tells me to leave, I'm leaving. But I understand what you're saying.
All right, because I get the abuse thing. But so would you modify the words? Like if you were to get married, let's say you guys had a ceremony after that year, you guys, you're gonna celebrate. Would you modify the words, or would you take them straight out the Bible like everyone else does?
Knowing me, I'd probably modify the words, but I would still want to get married. Like we're making that promise to God.
Okay.
Like it's a promise to ourselves and to God.
Because that's my biggest thing. I've had, in fact, right here, brother Scam Likely is in the building. What's good? What's good, fam? My bad, I had the wrong button. See, y'all can see my age showing. What's up, Scam Scam Likely, Dusto in the building. He asked me a while ago. He was like, "Hey, would you marry a woman who was divorced?" And I said, "No." And he was like, "Well, why wouldn't you?" And I'm like, "Because she broke her promise with her God. Like my religious views or whatever they are, but I'm not going to marry a woman who broke a promise that she made to her be end all to be all to her deity." Now, of course, there's exceptions. Like, like you said, if there was abuse or, there was some crazy circumstances, normally, some illegal stuff going on. All right, I get that. But for the most part, let's just keeping it 100. There's a reason that basically 50% of marriages end in divorce in America is because people can just walk away from them and they break the promise. So I'm like, why would I accept the word of a person that I know broke that promise? Not just to another person, but to their biggest deity. Is that something you think I should reconsider? Would you marry someone who is divorced?
I would I would probably marry someone that's divorced. I wouldn't want to, but I mean, if that's the person I'm supposed to marry, I probably. But I need to hear the backstory too.
You'll have to hear it all.
Yeah.
Because my thing, I'm like, we're not even gonna talk about it. Like, why'd you do again? Unless, like you said, the backstory includes some horrific things. Okay, but most of the I ask women, I've asked some divorcees, like, why'd you get divorced? And the vast majority of the time, it was a woman who initiated divorce. And it boiled down to, well, he just wasn't progressing, or I didn't like the fact that he was whatever. A lot of times it boiled down to the guy was boring. And I'm like, oh, and you want me to marry you? Nah, get out of here with that. Brother Chris Smokey Hat is in the building. What's good, fam? And he's saying, agreed, marriage today is simply not worth the risk. The breadwinner has too much to lose in today's market. And I feel him on that. And a lot of people like, you just hating as a man. I'm like, bro, women are out earning men these days. This trend is continuing to grow. Probably 10, 15 years down the road, if a woman gets divorced, she's gonna lose half her stuff. She's gonna lose half of her properties, half of her retirement. It changes the game. And a lot of people think, well, it's about gender. Like, no, it's not. The court only wants to know who has the money. As Mary J. Blige, as Kelly Clarkson, as Halle Berry, they are paying out and they lost property. So I just think that folks ask me, well, how can we fix marriage in America? I'm like, either get rid of no-fault divorce or take away the benefit of divorce. In other words, I'm gonna get a no-fault divorce, I'm getting irreconcilable differences, I want to leave the relationship, then you don't get a payout. You're not gonna get half the stuff. You don't get the house, you don't get the kids, you don't get alimony, you don't get child support. You get out of the relationship. Would you sign on with something like that or no?
Like a prenup?
Even beyond a prenup, like no need for if you were married and your husband, let's say you're the breadwinner, you guys have been doing really well. Your husband decides he doesn't want to be with you anymore, right? He'll say irreconcilable differences, but the reason is he's just bored. He wants to go talk to some other women. All right, cool. He divorces you because he can, no fault. If in the world that I'm proposing, he can divorce you, but he gets nothing. Like if the other person didn't do anything wrong, they didn't violate the contract, why are we going to pay him out? Why are we going to give him a benefit to leave the marriage? And I think that's how it should look. Like you can get out of it, but you don't get paid for breaking the contract. What do you think of that?
I like that. I would also probably have some clauses in there, like whatever we both came in with, that's what we leave with. And whatever we start together, then we split that down the middle. And then whoever's at fault, maybe a certain percentage can go to the other. But I'm not like a greedy person like that. So.
Right. And this is the stuff I talk about this. And I Am a Single One. That's sister own a spot. That's when she gets like, come on, you tripping deal. But she's like, so, the supposed benefit of divorce will never compare to what women sacrifice in marriage / motherhood. Agreed. And I could say the same thing about men. However, we're going into an era where women are going to be out earning dudes. And if that's the case, that means that guy, if doing a divorce, the court is going to award him alimony. He'll probably get the kids. If he was at home watching the kids, he's going to get the house. She's going to have to, give up half of her retirement. And I think once that happens, you're going to really see a big shift. A lot of people don't agree with me on that. I'm like, all right, keep watching. That's you are a very fair person. I'm sitting there trying to shake you, and you just like, no. Like you so calm. It's like, hey, there's a train coming. We might want to get out the car. Like, what? I need a little more excitement here. So there's a train coming. Let's get out the car. You're like, okay, let's go. We can get out. Have you said you've always been this way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I have people on here who can vouch for that. But yeah, even when my wild college days, I was always calm before a fight. There was no talking. It was just.
See, now I'm nervous because you quiet people. Our quiet people do the most damage. I'm like, hey, look out for her over there, bro. She ain't said nothing. They about to fight. Quietly maneuver behind somebody. It's like it's about to go down.
Listen, I was raised on military too, so.
I ain't mad at you. I like that. I really do. I really enjoy this conversation. We got to wrap it up because I would love to talk to you for another hour, but I got stuff I got to do, which I'm sorry.
part two on like the autism because people are still having conversation. Like I have my stuff ready, materials, like so we can talk about resources, data, all of that.
Well, let's definitely do that. Let's do a part two, and it'll be a full autism show. And we can definitely get into the weeds, and you can bring it, break it all the way down for me. And I do apologize. It's just, yeah, no, we got, Uncle Saint got to get out here and promote and do stuff. Because we do normally do 2 hours plus, you know what I mean? And I was ready to go, and I see you were ready to go. I hope you can forgive me.
No, I wasn't. I'm actually at the clinic right now, so
Working hard.
yeah. Well, it's spring break, so it's been kind of hectic. We've been having the kids do different activities, and tomorrow's water day, and I'll be at both of the clinics tomorrow. So yeah. Oh, that's the thing too. I do school sessions. I try to stay away from home sessions, but I do school sessions.
Absolutely, and Miss AKA is like, yeah, that demeanor definitely has to help in what she does, and working with people on the spectrum. Before we go, my last dating question I wanted to ask you: what would it be like if I were to meet someone who was on the spectrum? I mean, how is dating someone like? What is that like? Is that a thing?
Of course, it's a thing.
I really don't.
Um, it's definitely a thing. There's actually a whole Netflix series on it.
Really?
It's called Dating on the Spectrum.
Damn. Okay, I didn't. I
But
did not
but
know that.
as I said, everyone is different. So um, everyone's just different. Like it may be more mild, it may be more severe, but they definitely can. My brother's a DJ. My brother has his driver's license. Like he works a full-time job. Um, you can definitely date that they have children. Like just treat them just as you would anybody else.
I think about heartbreak. I think about the whole, choosing the wrong person and cheating and all that and having to deal with that. I mean, I can't imagine because it's everyone's gone through a situation like, especially the first few times you've dealt with it, it's so devastating and it is emotionally draining. I just wonder how people on the spectrum process that.
Yeah, their emotions are more intense. The way that they communicate is different. A lot of them really have problems already, with social interactions. So then some might meet someone that's actually taking advantage. And yes, it can be very devastating and heartbreaking. Absolutely. And they're so blunt and
Man,
honest. So, so blunt and honest.
wow. Okay, because I mean, I've never, to my knowledge, I've never interacted with or dated with someone on the spectrum. I don't think. Um, but I would imagine how crazy intense that would be for the person who's on the spectrum, because just folks who are quote unquote normal, they can't handle. I know people that have lost their mind over a girl or over a guy, just go out and just do absolutely insane stuff. Um, and you say that people who are on the spectrum, their senses are even heightened more. My goodness. I mean, shudder to think.
I mean,
I
because think
shudder.
of the things that we say, we think and we say in our head that we're feeling. That actually comes out of their mouth. That comes out of their mouth. It comes out of their actions.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely gotta do another show. I mean, I had to make that command decision, y'all. Like, all right, because whenever I bring women on, I gotta talk about what's going on with the dating world, just because of the part of the internet that I'm in. I want guys to see that there are plenty of beautiful women out there who are level-headed. But there's a lot of guys out there like, man, they all this, they all that. Like, nah, bro, you ain't talking to nobody, bro. I don't know where you at. You gonna have to learn how to maneuver. So this is the reason why I wanted to make sure we got into that conversation about dating. Um, but we're definitely gonna have to do a part two and just do a complete show, and let's just talk about, the spectrum and autism, and really get into the weeds, because everyone in the chat wants to see it on the spot. She's like, yes, part two. Miss AKA lady, she wants to see it as well. She's asked me about a show. Like, are you going to do the show next weekend?
She's no, she's asking me if I'm going to the show next weekend. Two people on this chat asked me about something this weekend. I believe it's Saturday. If it's not Friday, then yes, I can come. I can come to the show next Friday.
Well, it's on. It's the 22nd. Here's a week from tomorrow. So, hey, there it is. Thank y'all for getting it to come. Hey, this is what's up. This is what's up. Y'all can get y'all tickets on Eventbrite. We are on Eventbrite. That's cool. I appreciate you having. I really do appreciate you sharing your time with us today. When can we do part 2? Because now I feel
Thank you for
bad.
having me. I
Yes.
mean, we can do it in April, since that's autism. April 20th, I'm putting a plug. So I also have a wine brand, and I will be at the music festival in St. Pete on the 20th. So I can't do. Well, that's a weekend. You don't do weekends anyway.
Right. I don't, but I will make an exception for
Okay.
you. So you tell
No,
me when
I
you
think
want.
my April should be open, except for that week leading up to the 20th. I want to make sure I have everything ready for that festival. So yeah.
Okay, and then we could talk about your side hustle because you said that, and it's like dude's gonna go right to the side hustle to holler at you. Like, that's hilarious, but yes, that's a game. That's game. And we could talk about that at the very end, but we'll definitely get into the autism talk. And I'm looking forward to that. And I also want to talk to you about like the sign language. So yeah, we'll save all that for that show because I'm curious about like, well, I'm like, sign, why? But I think I know why. So I think it'll be it'll be good and interesting.
Yeah, a lot of them are nonverbal, so they need devices. Like I have a device here. There's a textbook that they use, rip off words. Yeah, different ways to communicate.
That's what's up. I got a device here if they need one. If something happens and they need to, like, if they're like, man, game's over, bro,
Well,
they can hit
that's
this button.
great.
They can just hit
That's
the
just
button.
fucking great, man. Now what
Yeah,
the fuck are we
not
supposed to
with
do?
that one.
I'm just saying, we got technology over here. Like, we can,
Well,
ring.
I'm trying to teach them to use, nice words.
You gotta teach them some of the 4-letter ones too. I mean, a little colorful language ain't gonna hurt nobody.
They know those.
That's what's up. So, all right, we're gonna wrap this up. I gotta get going. J.Washington, I'm gonna give you a one shot so you can tell people if you want where to find you and if you want to plug anything, go for it.
Okay. On Instagram, it is Cheray Janice, Cheray Janice. And if you have any questions about what we discussed there, you can just send me a message. And if you like wine, I have my own wine brand, and it's CYNSHINE, and that is also on Instagram, Sunshine Wine. So yeah.
That's what's up. And I didn't know that. I'm not a wine drinker, but I love tasting. That's the easiest way to get drunk for free. Like, oh, I'm just tasting. I ain't drunk. But I'm a
Right.
cognac man myself. I'm a cognac drinker myself. So
I like whiskey.
you like whiskey, really?
Mhm.
I could never get into whiskey, but I do love cognac. And what's your brand or what's your favorite whiskey?
My favorite whiskey right now, because I am protesting Jack Daniels, is Uncle Nearest.
What
I
Jack
love
Daniels do
Uncle
to
Nearest.
you?
So, okay, Uncle Nearest was a slave, and he was the one that actually did the recipe. And Jack Daniels, the owners of that, stole it and all of that. So his grandchildren, I believe, fought very hard to have Uncle Nearest and have that brand and have all of those rights. So, Jack Daniels, Uncle Nearest. Google Jack Daniels and read the full story.
I guess we'll be talking about that as well, huh? So we're gonna be talking about autism. We're gonna be talking about your wine hustle, and then we're gonna be talking about Jack Daniels, how they jacked the black man like they always do. So it's on. And good thing I ain't a whiskey guy, but that's Jack and Coke is my fallback because a lot of places don't have cognac. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do a Jack and Coke. Brother Pitney's in the building. What's good, fam? We are out of here. Darn, that's the end indeed.
Thank
So
you.
I'm sorry you didn't make it. We definitely have your information in the chat right there so people can find you. Uncle Nears has a brand that's doing well. Oh, okay. I did not know. I did not know. Y'all are hitting me up. That's what's going on. Everybody knows about it but me. I come y'all and tell nobody, man. See, y'all I don't be knowing. So y'all don't be sharing information. I blame y'all. Y'all should have told me so I would know. Now I know. Again, I really want to know. That's what the whole point of this is. So I appreciate your love. We're gonna work that out, guys. We're gonna bring her back in April, and we're gonna do the full 2 hours plus. We're gonna have a good time. Maybe we'll even drop the link on that show so y'all can come up and we can all just get together and talk and have a good conversation. Thank you so much for sharing with the personal stuff as well, with the dating. I don't, girl, look, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know. I got all these fine sisters in the chat. All these sisters are following me like, how are y'all single? I don't get it. I don't understand. It is what it is. We'll do something about that. We'll find a way to work that out. We'll find some good dudes. We'll figure it out. So we're out of here. Say again.
I said, okay.
She said, okay. Yeah, everybody, like, find me one. Please make it happen. So we'll do what we can. I'm DL Saint, and that is J.Washington. We'll bring her back. Thank y'all so much for rocking out with us. This has been fun. We'll see y'all soon. I gotta go. Thanks for rocking out with us on the I Really Want to Know podcast. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.